Hello friends, in last lecture we discussed about types of compounds. What is meant by acid, what is meant by base, what is meant by salts, and the types of acid, base and salts. Okay, today we start indicators. What is meant by indicators? Indicator means the substances which indicate or which determine the nature of given compound. It means that the given compound is acidic or basic. It is totally depend upon or totally determined by indicators. Okay, and types of indicators are as follows. There are four types of indicators are there. First, natural indicator, another one synthetic indicator, third one olfactory indicator, and fourth one universal indicator. Okay, these are the four types of indicators. It means that these four types of indicators or four types of substances determine the nature of given compound. It means that the given compound is acidic or basic is determined by the indicators. Now we discuss about one by one. Natural indicators. Which indicators called as a natural indicators? The naturally occurring substances which are used to determine the nature of given compound. That type of naturally occurring substances called as a natural indicator. For example, rose petals, turmeric. These are the examples of natural indicators. Now, second one, synthetic indicators. Which indicators called as a synthetic indicator? The chemicals which are used to determine the nature of given compound. That is, given compound is acidic or basic. That type of chemicals called as a synthetic indicator. For example, methyl orange, eosin. These are the examples of synthetic indicator. Okay. Now, third type, olfactory indicators. Which type of indicators called as olfactory indicator? The indicator which change the color of given compound and determine the nature of given compound. That type of indicators called as a olfactory indicators. Their smell change the color of given compound. Then fourth one, that is the universal indicator. Which indicators called as a universal indicator? The mixture of all indicators called as a universal indicator. Okay, this is all about the indicators and types of indicators. Okay, now we discuss about the neutralization reaction. What is meant by neutralization reaction? In last lecture, we also discussed about the neutralization reaction. Neutralization reaction means the chemical reaction which takes place in between acid and base and to form salt and water. That type of chemical reaction is called as a neutralization reaction. When acid reacts with base, it gives salt plus water. That type of reaction is called as a neutralization reaction. For example, when hydrochloric acid HCl reacts with sodium hydroxide NaOH, it gives sodium chloride NaCl plus H2. And that type of chemical reaction is called as a neutralization reaction. Student, now we discuss about types of compounds. Mainly compounds are of two types. Which are they? Ionic compounds and covalent compounds. Okay, ionic compounds and covalent compounds. Ionic compound means what and covalent compound means what, and how to form the ionic and covalent compounds. In last lecture, we also discussed about types of compounds in which particularly we studied acid, base and salts. Okay, now we discuss about ionic compounds. Ionic compounds. Which compounds called as ionic compounds? Those compounds which contains ionic bond. Those compounds which contains ionic bonds called as ionic compounds. Then what is mean by ionic bonds and how to form the ionic bonds. Ionic bonds are always formed after give and take of electrons. Give and take of electrons. That type of bonds called as a ionic bonds. Ionic compound means compounds which contains ionic bond. Ionic bond are formed after give and take of electron. For example, in case of formation of sodium chloride, NaCl, sodium loses one electron and chlorine accept one electron and forms of Na plus Cl minus. That type of compounds called as a ionic compounds. What are the characteristics of ionic compounds? Each and every ionic compounds contain two types of ions. One cation and another one is anion. Positively charged ion is called as a cation and negatively charged ion is called as a anion. All ionic compounds contain two types of ions, cation and anion, and they are attracted towards each other by strong force. And also ionic compounds are bad conductors of electric current in solid state, but in molten state all ionic compounds are good conductors of electric current. Why good conductors of electric current? Because after dissolution of ionic compound, the ions are separated in water. It means that when we dissolve NaCl in water, sodium chloride in water, then Na plus and Cl minus ions, it means that the cation and anion both are separated, and that process is called as a dissociation of ions. Dissociation means separation of ions. Okay, all these ionic compounds after dissolving in water, their ions get separated. It means that cation and anion gets separated. Now we discuss about covalent compounds. What is meant by covalent compounds and how covalent compounds are formed? Covalent compound means the compounds which contains covalent bond. Compounds which contains covalent bond, that type of compounds called as a covalent compounds. Now a question may arise that how covalent bonds are arises. Covalent bonds are arises due to sharing of electron. The bonds which are arises due to sharing of electrons, and that type of bonds called as a covalent bonds. And the compounds which contains covalent bond called as a covalent compounds. Okay, now we discuss about formation of sodium chloride and magnesium chloride. It means that formation of some ionic compounds, in which first of all we discuss about the formation of sodium chloride. Formation of sodium chloride. Sodium chloride contains sodium and chlorine. Formation of sodium